I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
Podcast, bitches! We now have the podcast. Our son is uploading 50 episodes a day to get us caught up, to get all of our stuff up on there. So, if you're a podcast person, you want to play and listen, that is the way to do it. Link is in the description of this video.
Yeah, you don't want to do the picture-in-picture thing, you know? Shout out to Dimebag Daryl, by the way. Shout out to the homie. So you get to, wash dishes and all that if you want to listen instead of watch, or you're at the gym or whatnot. There you are, dear listener. This, however, is Thrice.
For the big homie, ayo! The Sky is Falling.
That's the name of the
Yesterday,
song.
when I told Vinny we were going to be reviewing this song, he said, Inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah.
Which means if God wills, but
That's
the
all it
way
means.
he said it was like,
It just means
hopefully.
It just means if God wills. That's
Yeah, I
all
know
it means.
technically that's what it means, but there's a way you said it that made it sound like, Inshallah, God will drop the sky.
Well, I mean, look,
Sometimes Vinny and I get in these discussions that go real long.
it all depends. All right, guys. Having said that, the time has arrived.
Here we go.
Thrice. Let's do it.
Yikes. Yikes.
Yeah.
I forgot how to get rid of this. We're just going to exit? Boop. No, I'm sorry.
No, we're good. We're good.
Back.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a quick postscript. So last night around 2-something, we did this song, and then we had technical difficulties, and it died. So we could have done a patchwork, blah blah blah, but I'm like, nah, just screw it. We'll just do it again. So we're doing it again. So this is the second hearing. So the first review we did an entire review, and then the technical difficulty happened. It's extremely frustrating, but hey, the show must go on.
It recorded no sound, so
show-
there was no way to fix that.
Show must go on. And then when we try to reverse engineer it to find the problem, there is no problem. It just randomly, it's working again.
Well, I actually think it was meant to happen.
Yeah, it's a color of a law.
I mean,
guess.
yeah, God, of course, everything is God's will. But literally, when I first heard this song, I gave this one like a 3 last night.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
I really didn't like it. This time, though, the second go around, I'm like, oh.
The words affected me differently.
Yeah, me too.
The words affected me differently, and even the melody in the song affected me differently. It's weird.
Yep.
Some songs are like that, though. On the second listen, it's actually...
So, Ayo, you get 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah, and lyrics hit me different this time around, and
me too.
The things that like stuck out to me were much different.
Yeah.
What was it for you? What was going on? What was going on with you?
I think it's a very relevant song right now, and he was talking about. I didn't know what is it?
Jingoistic. Yeah.
Jingoist?
Yeah, I was looking at that too in the lyrics.
So apparently it's just somebody who like is such a patriot that they hate anyone outside of their country so much
Trump.
that they would want those people killed.
Trump, or the stereotype or assumption of Trump, however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. I agree completely.
He says like he's talking about the sky falling and stuff and saying, most people don't care about what's happening, bombs, whatever, as long as it's somewhere else. When 9/11 happened, everybody went full throttle. Everybody was upset about what was happening to us. How dare they do this to us? We'll put a boot in your ass. It's the American way. The country songs are coming. Everybody was coming out with songs because this is our country now. Like, that can happen over there, but not over here. And obviously, as Christians, we should care about what's happening everywhere. I don't even think just as Christians, but just people in general. I think we should care about what's happening other places. And I thought when he said, it's coming down, the roof could never hope to save me and my family from certain death. If we could leave, we would have left. And then it says, it's coming down. My little girl is just a baby and I'm scared she won't make her teens. But my fear just fuels the hate machine. My fear just fuels this hate machine. And there's so many times where fear can be used for positivity or negativity. It depends on where you funnel it. So if your fear gives you that adrenaline rush and you do something positive with it, like the mother who lifts the car off her children, or the person that can run super fast because someone's in danger and snatch them out of the road before they get killed, that is, you put your fear into positive action. But if you take your fears and you funnel them to hate, then you will inevitably do horrible things in this world, because fear doesn't bring about good when you funnel it towards negativity. But because we are in America, and that's not something like, when I put my baby to bed at night, I think, oh Lord, please don't let them die in their cribs, because
Really?
we hear about that, SIDS. Oh, all
SIDS.
the time. Yeah.
Crib death. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't think that a bomb is going to randomly hit us, or that somebody's going to burst into our house and file us all back and deport us. And, I don't think about any of those things. But those, there are real fears for people living in the pine nut farmers and people just randomly getting bombed in weddings. And
There was a really interesting line to your point where it says, we're just miles apart, but we're worlds away.
Yeah.
And it really made me think about like technology, where it's like, before xenophobia, jingoism, whatever you want to call it, is kind of justified because 200 years ago, just 100 years ago, people were basically trapped in their region.
oh, yeah.
Right? And if you wanted to go to another land and find other groups of people, you had to go by boat, which was a harrowing journey. or these long drawn out, like the Oregon Trail type of thing. So from that perspective, and I kind of, it's one of the strategies that I employ when I, function here in this state. Not to say that everybody here is jingoistic or whatever, but just my own understanding of the fact that when you have a group of people who've been sedentary their entire life and only know one way of living and things like that, when you come into that context, you're going to be treated a certain way. And it doesn't necessarily mean they hate you per se. It's just the fear of the unknown, which of course I say all the time. And even in this song, there's really not much difference between fear and hate outwardly expressed.
Yeah. Oh.
Right? So when it comes to people, that's what happens, right? But you would figure now that we've got technology like the internet, like jet engines, cars, things like that, where you can be in a place in a couple hours and be in a completely, I remember so many times, like the only way I knew where I was the language when I landed. Because we were traveling so much and we're going here, and there's this border, and what is a border anyway? It's just an artificial, arbitrary, this is ours, this is yours. The entire concept, I forgot who it was. I was listening to an argument about the border.
Yeah.
It was on the Sam Seder show, which is odd for me because I generally don't like Sam Seder. But they were talking about the border, and Sam had this very, of course, liberal border policy, kind of like me. And then he had a female partner, and she, I wish I could remember her name. She said, I don't even believe in land or countries. And she didn't develop it. She just moved on. And I was, Sam was like, And the point she was making was, you think Sam's a liberal, I don't even believe there's such a thing as countries. And I think think about it. Like, let's say if we rewound the clock, right? And, here we are, we're all here.
Yeah.
And then somebody says, this piece right here, all of it is mine. Like if we went to Mars or something like that, we got off the ship, and we're walking around like exploring Mars and being like, holy shit, what a crazy place. And then a person says, these 10 square feet right here are mine, and if anybody even steps on it, I'll kill them. We'd all look at that person like, what, you own Mars? Like, how did that happen? How did you get to do that? And he goes, well, I've got a gun and you don't. So that's her argument. Her argument is, you went in there, you took this plot of land that you didn't build, you didn't do anything with it, and all of a sudden you decided that little piece of land was yours, and then anybody who encroaches on that piece of land, now you're going to kill them. Which is, of course, not the... you had people that had nomadic lifestyles for hundreds and hundreds of years where they lived off the land, and then as they couldn't live off the land anymore, they would just move. And I'm not advocating a like I said, she didn't really develop it, but it's like, when you really, really, really think about it, we've killed millions of our own flesh and blood over these arbitrary distinctions. And then what happens is a group of people on Mars decide that little square foot is all theirs, and so he starts inviting people, and then everybody in that little square thinks exactly alike. And then the rest of us are like walking around like in wonder trying to explore Mars, and these guys start amassing weapons and things of that nature, and then kill the rest of us and say, okay, now the entire planet is ours. Like, that's the human story. We found ourselves on this globe, however you want to call it, whatever. We randomly showed up here, whatever. Fine. I mean, I don't understand. I showed that video about the cell and how Richard Dawkins said he was blown away by the machinery.
Yeah.
I was talking about, I made the point, like when you go on, on the beach, you take a stroll on the beach, and the waves show up, and you see those little ridges. It's beautiful and it looks designed, but that's appearance of design. You don't need a mind to do that. But if on that same beach it says the kayaks are 10 feet to the north and there will be a blue key under it. Turn the key counterclockwise, and then you'll be able to enjoy the automated kayak. And then you go there and do that, and it works. The idea that came about by a random, that sign, and then the machinery to get everything to work.
Also random.
The idea that came about with random unguided processes is just absolute nonsense to me, but that's a bonus. But anyway, we all ended up on this rock, and then a couple of us decided that this little piece of rock was ours. Mm-hmm. And anytime you cordon off a piece of the rock, you're taking it for yourself and not giving it to others. And it's a really interesting, it's a fascinating question. Like, where did you get the idea that this is your country in the first place? How did that happen? Mm-hmm. And it was really funny because one of these people in these Reformed people, these Christians, they were saying that there's private property laws all through the Old Testament, so that means that God is a fan of private property and land ownership, which is ridiculous because much of the Old Testament was simply God managing human sinfulness. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you can make a biblical argument that we can go ahead and cordon off these pieces of land for ourselves and exclude other people. I think you're going to have to go there. There really hasn't been a lot of real thinking through that whole concept in the first place. It's just assumed.
Oh yeah, I mean,
like even when I was telling you, you looked at me like I was a crazy person. What do you mean there's no land?
Well, I mean, how are you can't manage that. If you have a whole world full of people that are sinful, we're Christians, we believe that they are, you have to have some sort of boundaries. You have to have some sort of lines. You can't just say, well, everybody can live inside my house. Like, you have to say, okay, this is my spot and this is my house, and I'm not just letting random people come into my home. Like, I do think even on Mars, if he sections off a piece of Mars and said this is mine, I mean, okay, he got there first.
No, well, we all got there at the same time, right? We all jumped off the ship.
Yeah, but it's big enough for everybody to collect their own piece. Because everybody has different ideas of what they want to do with their piece of Mars.
Yeah, I think if there's a mutual agreement between the people there, that's one thing. But that's not been the story of history. So, yeah, if there's mutual agreement to where folks do that, that's fine. But that's not what happens. What happens is the guy, stokes out the best possible place on Mars and then says that place is his. Mm-hmm. Well, how can you justify that? How's that justifiable?
You mean biblically?
In any sense. Like, in any... I don't think...
Maybe I'm extremely selfish, but I think there's no problem with that. People all show up and they block off their own land. Somebody's going to get the best piece. He went searching for it. He found it. Good for him.
Okay. The problem is when people go, hey, our space of land is now out of water because you chose the best possible space. So then what happens?
Oh, well, no. It needs to be divided up by if there's a plot that has water, that's
my property.
Public.
Why? That doesn't happen with oil. If you build a house on an oil field, then you're a billionaire. It doesn't go for the community.
Yeah, but we're not going to die without oil. You'll die without water rather quickly as well.
Yeah, but the guy says, this is my property. No. You can't come to my property. No. You can't have it both ways.
No, you can. You can't take something that everybody needs. You can split up the land.
Well, everybody needs land.
Yes. Well, he can take the plot beside the water, so it can be a shorter walk for him. But he's not taking the plot with the water.
Well, you could solve that. But here's what happens when you do that. That problem gets solved immediately. Like if I was there, right, and I said, hey, you've got the thing with all the water, and he goes, yeah, if you guys work as my slaves, I'll let you have water on my land. Like, that wouldn't be a problem for me. I wouldn't have a problem with that guy. Nobody would have a problem with that guy ever again. And that's how wars start. You see what I'm saying? So this whole concept, this guy just went to Mars and started a war. Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be much of a war because it would be over pretty quickly. You think I'm talking about killing the guy. I wouldn't kill him.
What would you do?
I would do what we did at Walmart.
Which is what?
We had the crowd of people behind us, and the dude was like, oh, this guy tried to close Walmart 5 minutes early on us. And I'm like, well, the thing says 11 o'clock. And he goes, yeah, but we close a little early, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to get this milk, man. And then there's like a crowd of people gathering behind. He's like, nah, I'm not going to do that, blah, blah, blah. The door was locked. They locked the door like 5-10 minutes early. So I'm talking to the guy, and I see customers coming out. So I just stopped talking to the guy. I just said to myself, as soon as that customer opens the door, I'm going through. And that's exactly what I did, and everybody followed me. What was he going to do? You know what I'm saying?
Well, he did say he was going to call the manager.
Oh, yeah, and I said, go call him.
I mean, what manager is going to agree with them closing the doors early?
Yeah. I was like, go do it. Go ahead. So that's all that would happen. We'd get on the door. I wouldn't even talk to the guy. I would just go on and start taking the water. I wouldn't even talk to him. But then he'd say, "You're taking my shit," and I'd say, "Nah, bro, it's not yours, bro."
No, you take one step in there and he blows you away.
That wouldn't happen. But what I'm saying
what
is
you're saying.
That's what happens is wars, because when the beauty of the created order interfaces with the sinful nature, then now we have nations, and we're automatically going to other each other. And you would figure that technology would make us closer together as a human family. Like, there's like a running debate on our, on the show about original sin. Are people born inherently good or inherently bad? Look, what has happened as a result of all this technology? Last year, if the left-wing folks are right, the last 4 years in America were the most xenophobic years of all time in history. Trump was the worst, blah, blah. You guys know the whole story.
You never had it so bad.
We never had it so bad, right? Like, and we're at the pinnacle of technology and all the rest. How do you explain that?
Yeah.
And this whole concept of othering people is really interesting, because it's like, yeah, the song is talking about, this is pretty much a criticism of right-wing evangelicalism, which I think it's an accurate criticism, which is, as long as it's not happening to me, I'm good with it.
Right.
But this same problem is an infection in the left wing, because as long as they're not the one getting dissected in the womb, they don't care. Especially the dudes who run around and act like they're warriors, they're white knighting for women. They're like, oh, women should be able to do whatever they want with their bodies.
Or it's
as long as it helps me express my sexual gratification and not have that responsibility of being a father. You got all these dudes,
or they're
that are
okay
very
with it not happening.
pro-choice.
They don't want it happening to their kids, so they'll say, well, I wouldn't do it, but it should be available for other people.
Right.
So I'm not going to kill my kids, but
I wouldn't brutally dissect my own child, but yeah, and that somehow makes it better. Like, no, that's just an admission on your part that that it's a horrible thing to do to a child. But so like that type of apathy is present in both political parties, and the apathy to the border.
Yeah.
We saw the Republicans didn't care about it, and Kamala and the rest of them, they're crying their eyes out about it. Now that the Democrats have power, we've seen that both of these people don't care about it at all. So so now I talk to my left-leaning friends. All the emotion. I mean, we had a conversation with somebody on the Middle America channel.
Oh yeah.
And the guy basically said, "I said, how come you were so vocal about the kids at the border when Trump was the president, but you're not now?" And he said, "Well, I hated Trump, and I hated him even before he became the president. And once Biden got in, I was disengaged." So the people there were just a pawn, so that he could ventilate his hate toward Trump. So we're gonna use the suffering of these people to do that. And the left and the right does that. Ted Cruz jumped on a plane and went to the border and said all this nonsense and used all this emotional language the same way Rachel Maddow did. It's just all showmanship or showwomanship. And very few of us, and I say us, actually care about other people. And the technology that we have to experience other people in person or even online has not served to bring us closer together ultimately as a human family. Or maybe it has, but our advance in technology has made it so that the negative outweighs the positive because of our enhanced ability to kill each other.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So it's a very, very strange conundrum, but it's a colorful law, because this review was much better than the one before.
It really was.
What do you give the song?
8.2.
I'm gonna give it a 8.97. Holy moly! Yeah. Well, the lesson there, dear listener, is one, if you ever win a trip to go to space or something, don't go with Sori because she'll cordon off the land. Even Sori's capitalism is Sori's got intergalactic capitalism and colonialism.
No, you can't have the piece of property that has the water. Everybody needs to be able to have access to it. But if you get there first, you can have the piece of property right beside the water.
And you can
that's what I'm
going to
start
murking it. Boom, 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 boom. There you are, dear listener.
Oh boy.
Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.